Well, hello, folks. I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets. We do it from a neoclassical perspective. Each time we ask ourselves just that one question: what happened today, and what might it tell us about the coming days? I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday, broadcasted at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube under the channel L.A. Little. Subscribe there anytime content is pushed. You'll get a notification, which is a good thing. As far as what happened today, let's take a look at it here. We got a nice big bounce, right? We talked last night, actually told the members on Friday, probably going to see a bounce, and sure enough, see a bounce across all the indexes. 1.4% was the most in the industrials. Apple was helping that, up almost 4% today. A rush to junk, right? I mean, that's what you saw today, and we'll look at that here in a minute. But yeah, it was a big rush to all the stuff that nobody wants, and that's what pushed these indexes today. What else happened? So you got gold, one of those, copper, right? If you just look across the bow here, right? All the stuff nobody wants, everybody buys. Dollar down 0.5%. We got the bonds down 1.25%, and the short end of the bonds also down. So a rush to junk one more time. Seems like every time we get down to the bottom, that's what they do. They come in, they buy everything and anything they can see that is worthless because it's cheap. Nice big strong move here, looking at the S&P 500. So we've seen this, time and time again, where you go down, you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, you go up, right? It just keeps doing it. Now, at this point, if you're looking at this, and let's just take the classical view, right? You kind of got this little triangle thing going, and that's why I always kind of hate this, because look at here. If you draw that one, this one kind of looks like a problem, but then again, whoa, it stays inside. It's kind of hard to draw these lines, have a lot of faith in them, but you've kind of got that going on. But what's more important is to try to find something of value, something of significance. And as we talked about last night, the area of significance was here. And what do? We come right up into it, all the way up, all the way into it. Tomorrow we'll see if they can get over the highs, right? You want to see, if you want to be bullish, you want to see them get over these highs, right? Make a new high, come back up here and test up here in this area again. Now this is the S&P. The S&P, of course, has been looking a little bit better here lately. The struggle's been elsewhere. Let's go look at elsewhere. Here's the NASDAQ. So we look at the NASDAQ, right? So the NASDAQ now, remember, the NASDAQ on the way down comes into the big bar. Here we had a bar of significance. Gets into it, stays into it, right? A little hammer reversal, less volume as it comes back up and hammers. That gives you some idea that more than likely this thing can probably carry higher, even though it stayed under this. You can stay under something for a bar. A couple bars is a different story, because then it starts to tell you something. One bar, anything can happen. But you start staying under, or you start staying over a couple bars, then you start believing in it a little bit more. So you got under, you got a hammer reversal, so you had a short-term signal say, hey, we're going to probably bounce. Bounce we do, gap up, stay up. After the bell, there's some alphabet soup something going on with Google, breaking up companies or going to break them up over time. That one's up, I think, like 6-7%. It's third largest weighting in the NDX, so you're going to see some more juice tomorrow as a result of that. NDX looks almost the same. You get under, you get back over. This one, the lower price zone was here, top there 45.24, closes at 45.20, so you can kind of see it was the same story. Bounces up, breakdown bars are up here. If you want to know where the significant area is now, it's the conjunction of these, right? That's where you want to look. You get over that, it's a totally different story. You go back to the highs, but that's where it's going to be tough. If I'm a seller, that's where I want to show up. Russell. If we look at the Russell, right? Russell had broken down, right? And a lot of times when you get your breakdowns, and even though this was multiple swing points, multiple time frames, which typically means it's going to carry, in this environment, nothing carries. We're swing trading back and forth in this range. And instead of carrying it, what it does is it bounces right away. And that typically happens when you don't have multiple swing points. You get a trend transition, and then you're pretty oversold or you're pretty overbought at that point. You get some sort of pullback. That's why breakouts come back most of the time, right? If you read any of my books, breakouts tend to come back the vast majority of the time. They don't keep going. And so to see a bounce back is kind of what you would expect. So now the test is going to be the retest regen, which it's already done once. It's going to do it again. You've got this one, and this one actually did not break. There was one from May over here. That's the one that's being tested now. I don't have the numbers here. You know, before too much longer, we'll have a scroll here so you can kind of scroll back and see these things. We just don't have it yet. But you've got these intersections up here. You know, that's where it's going to try to get to. I would watch the top of this bar, the bottom of that bar. If it can't get over that area, which is here, and this breakdown bar, so anywhere from, let's get the numbers on them. What is that? 1232, roughly 1233, back down to about 1226. So 26 to 33. If you can't get over that area, something isn't right. So that's the indexes. What are the index telling me? They're telling me they can bounce some more. I mean, there's just nothing here that says they can't. If I look at the sectors pretty much the same. There was some good stuff and some bad stuff. If I look like at the lead sector, the biotechs, they look pretty bad. I talked about they would probably get a bounce, but you wouldn't want to hang your hat on it. They got no volume, they got a bounce. And matter of fact, that volume on the indexes was very light again today. But then elsewhere, you actually got something decent. For example, if I look at financials, right? Financials got a decent bounce back up, heading back towards the highs. If I look at, what was another one? Industrials was another one. Industrials got a decent bounce. And so these are setting up little ABCD structures to take them higher, right? If they can actually fulfill. So, you know, you got some positive stuff taking place on the sectors, but for the most part, today was all about buying junk again. And we've seen this over and over. Here's the XLE, big spike up, short covering. Basic materials, short covering. And not huge volume here, but some short covering. If I look at, let's look at another one. Oh, how about pharmaceuticals? Well, actually, that one's not junk, but the pharmaceuticals didn't have much happening today. Here's a better one. Here's the stocks, for example. This one's been beaten down. And I wouldn't call it junk, but it's been beaten down pretty bad. They go run into those stocks. And so today doesn't really tell me a lot, right? Yeah, I can carry some more, but you know, is there a verifiable trend here that we can expect to continue? No, I just don't see it. I don't see it in these numbers. Let's pop over and look at the world markets and see if there's something there that tells us a little bit more about the future. And I'll go straight into France and Germany, which had nice reversals, little hammers, no volume. That was no volume on the downside. It was pushing down. Came in to test these lows, no volume. That says this thing can push a little bit higher. If I look at the, you know, it can go up there and test over those highs, try to hit the weeklies. And same thing here on the DAX. No volume, back the other way. This one can go test a high. So, you know, if I look at Europe actually right now, one of the stronger ones. If I go over to Asia, Asia's going up. You know, this is the Hang Seng. Going up, not the Hang Seng, the Nikkei going up to test those swing point highs. We had a lot of action in Shanghai last night. You know, the worse the numbers get, the more excited they get because there is the QE possibility or whatever you want to call what their central bank is doing. If I look over at Hong Kong, there's a lot more subdued, not much there. So Asia still looks like a toss-up to me. Yeah, you can go up some more on the Shanghai on some short covering if there's any shorts left in that market after what has happened in terms of government regulations. And, you know, yeah, it can trade higher. But again, other than Europe, I don't see anything here to tell me we're going to get a strong move up or a continuation move up. So before I give you my my final thoughts on tonight, let me pop over to Apple. We had a viewer question tonight on Apple, and the question was, has it bounced enough to get a short on it? So to try to answer that question, anytime I'm looking at a short, I'm looking for certain criterion that allows me, a higher probability trade. One of the first things I look at is, where was the break if there was one, and what does it look like? And so in this case, you got a swing point low broken here. That changes trend there. You go lower, you change trend again. So you're bearish at this point, and it's confirmed, saying it has a little bit higher probability of continuing down. Now it's already oversold, so continuing down probably doesn't make sense, and of course it does bounce and it comes back up into the swing point low. Now this was a reversal here that was kind of clear. In other words, you get under, you get back over, you have less volume, you're extended. That's a 2-bar reversal. That should trade higher. That's what it did. And so far everything looked quite neoclassical, so to speak. What else is happening, or what else should happen? Well, because it only was 4 bars down here, right? That says that more than likely what you're going to see is you're going to see this thing push up and potentially test the very top of that retest, regenerate bearish, right? So it's going to try to come up, and then this is going to try to regenerate to the downside. That's what a bearish retest regen means. And that is how these ABCD structures form. So in other words, you come down, right? In this case, you did this, you get a bounce, you come back down, you finish it off. Now you come down, right? You get a bounce, and then you try to finish it off again. And so that's how things get lower lows, right? They retest, they can't get over it, the sellers come in and they start poking it down again. And so that is the scenario. Okay, so it's coming back up. So where can it test to? It can test to the top of the breakdown bar. In this case, the swing point low that was broken, that's 124 is the highs. You've also got this high volume bar has a low at 122, has a high at 125.50. So, if I'm trying to take a trade, I'm always looking at it from the most conservative point of view. And to me, this is the area that you want to try to short this thing. So anything getting closer to this area is the place to be looking at, not down here, right? You're opening yourself up to, $4.50 of risk. So, and you got to put your stop up here somewhere, right? Maybe even into the gap. So you're going to take too much heat on the way back up. So if the trade's going to develop, you want it to bounce up into here and then set up the next potential ABCD structure to the downside. And so that's the spot you want to try to get it. All right, as far as my final views here tonight, let's go back to the indexes and view it from the S&P's point of view. As we've already talked about, there's no clear-cut signals here saying, any kind of reversal, anything like that. This can continue, and is probably going to try to continue tomorrow. Europe suggests that that's true. Asia is kind of a toss-up. It can go either way, in my opinion, tonight. And so I suspect, because we have followed Europe like a blind rat the last few months, if Europe trades up, which it looks like it's going to try to do, then we're probably going to walk into higher futures in the morning. I also saw some Google news tonight. They're doing their alphabet soup I mentioned, and that's already up as well, so that's probably going to carry overnight as well, unless Asia really has a bad night. So, my take here is a little bit farther up. How far? It doesn't look like it's got that much farther to go, but man, I've said that before, and I've seen these runs straight up. So, I'll reserve that until I get something that I can measure, and right now I just don't have it. So some more up tomorrow, and we'll see how far they want to carry it and just how it looks as it starts getting into more critical zones, which are a little bit above us. That's it for tonight, and thanks. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Good night.